What's going on, you guys? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This be your boy Scotty by Nature TV, and we're here for a brand new review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 11, Episode 4. What is going on, you guys? I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday, and I intend on doing the exact same thing, you guys. What's the tea? Now, listen, y'all, I know I was supposed to do this video maybe a little bit, maybe like 45 minutes ago, but I had pushed it back because, baby, I had taken a nap, child. I had taken me a nap, and I was like, yeah, because yesterday was a long day. So y'all know for the first few minutes of my lives, I got to just give y'all a little bit of updates and things about what's been going on. So if you've been watching the scene ATL, which is a show, a web series that I'm on, we did the reunion yesterday. Which is why I did not get a chance to even watch Love and Marriage Huntsville yesterday or do my review last night, because by the time we got done with the reunion, Love and Marriage Huntsville was already on, and I was like, bitch, I'm tired. We've been up here doing this fucking reunion since I got off of work. I'm tired. So we did the reunion yesterday. And yeah, that reunion was a lot. It didn't really go in the way that we wanted it to, because we was on like time constraints and stuff like that. And like Carl and Bando, they couldn't be there for a long period of time because they had other obligations that day, but we were just trying to get it done. And we did what we could do. We just glad to close the chapter on season 1, because it feels like season 1 been going on for a long time, and it's finally done. And now we can get into these conversations about, season 2 and stuff like that. We're ready to get into season 2, and just to let you guys know, everybody's coming back except Carl, but there will be new faces. And I think that's what they're about to start doing now, is to, interview, people for the show. There are some people that I pitch. There are some people that JT pitched. There's some people that Bando pitched. There's some people that DJ, DeLon. They want everybody to pitch somebody, because they want to bring people into the group that actually know people. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much the gist of that. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's on, pretty much on the same page as far as season 2 and what we intend on going into season 2 with. But baby, that reunion was a lot for me. Now I did have, I will say that I said what I had to say to who I need to say it to. That's what I will say. But I will say that the drama really wasn't aimed at me too much. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I did address what I needed to, and I called out who or what I needed to call out. But it's some people that y'all would have least expected to be the ones blowing up at their damn reunion. That's all I gotta say without giving anything away. Now, y'all know we get started at the 5-minute mark, and it's 55 of y'all up in here so far. So what I'm gonna need for you guys to do, what moderators are in here? We got Miss Ann, we got the Jail Slayer, and we got Norris. We need for you guys to help. I need for you guys to help me with the engagement. It's 56 of you guys up in here, so we need 56 of you guys to put flames in the chat so we can get this party started. So go ahead and like this chat up, y'all. Go ahead and like this chat up so we can get the party started at the 5-minute mark. Y'all know when I see them flames, that puts the fire and desire in me to give you guys the best show that I know how. So go ahead and like this chat up, and we're gonna get started at the 5-minute mark. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all already lighting it up already. That's what I'm talking about, honey. Go ahead. Go right ahead, honey. All right, so boom, we're at the 5-minute mark now. So let's go ahead and get started. We got 62 up in the building, so let's get it popping. So where we at? So we're still in Michigan, and it's Letitia, Kimmy, Maurice, and Marceau. Okay, they're having a conversation about Daddy Scott, because Kimmy and Letitia could sense that there was something not right with Daddy Scott. Like, they felt like he probably did not feel the love or the acknowledgement at the time when they were pretty much giving, Uncle Rick all of that acknowledgement in his roses. Maurice No, Marceau says that regardless of the thing, his dad was 26 with 8 kids, and he was basically doing what he could to make sure that the kids had everything that they needed and sometimes everything that they wanted. And sometimes their dad had to work harder than some other parents because he had 8 mouths to feed when they were young at that young age. And a lot of times, they say that sometimes kids don't really acknowledge like the good that the parents did, because they always focus so much on the missteps of the parents and not really what the parents, absolutely gave and what they tried to do for the kids. One thing about it, and two things for certain, I do kind of agree with what Marceau was saying and what Maurice was saying, because a lot of times we look at our parents as people that are not human. We kind of put them on a pedestal and we kind of make them out to be perfect people when clearly they are not perfect people. Just like we're not perfect people. You know what I mean? We're going to grow up to be imperfect people, to be honest. But even when we're kids, we're imperfect too. Like there may be things that our parents really look to us to have when we were growing up that we did not give them. Like I know our parents had dreams of what they wanted from us and all of those different things, and we didn't deliver those dreams. I'm pretty sure that if my mother had it her way, all 3 of her kids would have graduated from college. I was the first. I didn't graduate from college. I went to college, but I didn't graduate college because it just wasn't for me. College wasn't my thing. I didn't want to go back to school. Like I had enough of school. And when I went to college, it's like I did it out of obligation because I wanted my mother to be proud of me, not because I really wanted to go. But when I got, on academic suspension and sat at home for about what? I sat at home for like 3 years. I was like, you know what? School ain't for me and I just need to go to work. And that's just what I did. And I got into my YouTube stuff and that took off later on down the line and it became lucrative and something for me to do. My sister went to college. She graduated. My little brother, he went to college, but he didn't graduate. So I'm pretty sure that there were things that my mother wanted from me that I didn't give. And when it comes down to my mother, I don't necessarily focus on her missteps as a parent. She focuses on her missteps as a parent more than we focused on her missteps. I mean, it was only so much that she could do. My mother, for most of our lives, my mother was an assistant teacher. And assistant teachers did not get paid that much. My mom used to get paid about what, $800 a month. You know what I mean? What could she do with that? Back then, my mom used to get food stamps, working with the school and stuff like that. And we didn't even realize that we were struggling. My mama would give us that book, give me and my sister one book a piece of food stamps, and we was happy about them damn food stamps. We used to love them damn books of food stamps. Every weekend, my mama would give my sister and I a book of food stamps, and we go to the store and rack up. Not realizing that we were struggling. We didn't know that. There were times where sometimes my mother would be afraid that the lights was cut off. Like she'll walk into every room, she'll walk into the house, cut on the light just to make sure it's on and going about her business, because there were times where she didn't know because she was an assistant teacher. They wasn't getting paid much. And she was struggling with that. And she was in a relationship with someone who couldn't hold up a job. So she was just really doing it on her own. And I never complained. I never complained about that part. The only thing that I was complaining about was the man that she chose to marry was what I complained about. But people make mistakes just like I did. So, sometimes it is good to focus on the things that your parents actually attempted to do and what they did do versus their missteps. But it's not wrong to let them know where they went wrong and where they disappointed you at, because we're going to disappoint our parents just like our parents are going to disappoint us. So I understood that part of it. And Letitia says, so sometimes, growing up, our parents didn't have that balance. They were so busy, worrying about putting food on the table that they really didn't take out a lot of time with us as kids. And that was one of the things that Maurice and Marceau used to talk about all the time, that their dad used to work so much and he didn't really have time to take up with them. You feel what I'm saying? Well, there are some people who really wouldn't have cared if their dad went to work or not, long as the dad had time for them. But in their case, he didn't have time for them like that. He had to put food on the table. But Kimmy and Letitia pretty much encourages Maurice and Marceau to just give their father some grace and give him some flowers and make him feel like they are, very much so like they love him and that they appreciate the things that he did for them. And then they also said it's more about the acknowledgement, and we give admiration to other people, but sometimes we don't give it to our parents who actually really tried. So I felt like that was a really good conversation and a different way to look at people in their parenting. So we're gonna go ahead and get into Ken and Trish, right? So they discussed the therapy session that they had and stuff like that, and how it affected them and what they thought about it, and what they took from said therapy session. They started going into their disagreements that they've been having, like the arguments that they've been having, and how it can turn very volatile for them when they get into like all these different arguments and stuff like that. They was in a confessional, and Trish was like, well, I just want to make it clear, we don't argue every day. Like, we don't really argue all the time, but it's like when we do argue, it's not a good thing. It always turns into something else. That's a problem. Because if y'all don't argue all the time, and the first thing you choose to do when we do argue is to sit up here and, the first thing you do when we argue is take it to a whole nother level, then that's a mess. You know what I'm saying? That means y'all been holding on to shit that y'all ain't really been speaking on. That's what it's giving off to me. Like, it's giving, we both been some punk ass niggas and we ain't been saying what's on our mind. So soon as we get mad, we're going to throw it up in your face. And that's not always a good thing either. That's not always a good thing either. Like, I am a person that believes in not holding my tongue. I'm a person that believes in not holding things in. And me holding things in is when I lose it. Because sometimes when I hold myself back from saying what I really feel or saying what's on my mind, when I get upset, I blow the fuck up. And then even when I have a point when I blow up, that point goes out the window, because all people are going to see is the way that I expressed said frustration with said people, because of the fact that I didn't say what I had to say and I kept it to myself. So as a 37-year-old man, I'm learning to just speak freely on how I feel about things, because that crash out is not good. Learned that Thanksgiving night. Let me see what y'all saying. Imagine her kids walking on eggshells when they argue. And I'm telling you, when I was growing up and I used to hear my mom, my stepdaddy argue all the time, that wasn't a good feeling, because I walked around on eggshells with that. Every time I heard them raise their voice, I immediately run wherever they were and stand there, because I want to make sure there ain't nobody striking my mama as far as putting their hands on my mama. Like, that's the thing that I'm in there for, because I've seen it time and time again. So when you have seen something happen, and you've seen the way that it starts, and you've seen this and you've seen that, then for me, it's like, yeah, I see how you move. So therefore, I'm gonna watch you every chance I get. Like, if I'm around and I see how you're reacting and I see that pattern all the time, yeah, I'm finna watch you. That's exactly what I used to do with my mom and my stepdad. I didn't play them games. Like, if I was at home and they get into an argument, I already know how the argument gonna start. It's gonna start with something real petty. They're gonna argue. I'm gonna be able to hear them just a little bit in another room. Then the shouting gets louder and louder. Then the voice gets deeper and deeper. And then they start trading insults. And then they start talking about each other in a disrespectful manner. So I know now some words are being thrown back and forth. So I know that somebody gonna throw a hand at somebody, or somebody gonna throw something, or all that other shit. So that ain't cool. Oh, God, that threw me out. I'm sorry. Okay, anyway, but yeah, that's how I was. So I can only imagine what it is for her kids to hear them argue and walk around on eggshells every time it happens. Ken says that there has been no progress, and Trish agrees that there are things that they need to fix. At this point, if there's been no progress and you're no longer living in a home and shit, and you'd have moved out the house and all that other rigmarole, I feel as though it ain't gonna be no progress. That's what I'm getting from it. It's not going to be any progress at this particular point because you done left the house now. You feel what I'm saying? Like you've left the house. So for me, it's kind of like, yeah, you're telling us that you're telling Trish that, there's no progress. But I think that with it being so stagnant, y'all might not need to be together. That's just what it's given for me. I don't think that y'all need to be together. I don't think that y'all need to try to stick it out. I think y'all may have ran y'all course because y'all are not on the same page. And really and truthfully, y'all ain't been on the same page since y'all been on this show. Because it's clear that Trisha wants one thing and Ken wants another thing. And those things that they want are not aligning. And that's why they keep on having these issues. In my personal, as Jamie That's Me would say, Trish reveals that Letitia told her that Ken was in some girl's DMs. And Ken admits that he was in the DMs. He was talking to women in his DMs. One thing about it is that I can't sit up here and be mad at a nigga for not telling no lies. At least he sat there and owned up to the fact that, yes, I was in the DMs. Like I was in somebody's DMs. I definitely was in somebody's DMs. I was. So I can't give him that for not lying about it. He said that it's lonely in that apartment. And he says that I want to make this work with you. I want to make this right with you. But what I also want is consistency. And I feel like I'm not getting it. And so she said, I know that I have to do my part, but I will admit that the DMs is messing with my trust now. And so Ken was like, well, I feel like Letitia should be the last person talking about anybody else's relationship when people have said stuff about her husband and her marriage. And I agree. We may not care about Ken, we might not care about Trish, but the points are the points. Y'all can't sit up here, well, you per se, can't sit up here and talk about nobody's marriage and give anybody any tea about what you heard. Because anytime somebody gave you some tea about what they heard about your motherfucking man, you didn't like that. And you was sitting your ass with your non-talking ass up here. You tried to disrespect, you tried to destroy my marriage. All that other shit about your marriage. So girl, bye. Moving on, we're going to get into Maurice and Marceau. They're checking on their dad and they're trying to see if he's good. And the dad has said that he's fine. He's not worried about anything. He's okay. And they want to make sure that that's true. And he's saying, yeah, I'm fine. I don't know why y'all worried about me. I'm good. You feel what I'm saying? So then that's when Marceau assures his dad that he did a good job, regardless of what happened. You were 26 with 8 kids, and you took it upon yourself to do what you had to do for said kids. Like, you wanted to make sure they had everything they need. You wanted to make sure they was provided for. You wanted to make sure of this. You wanted to make sure of that. Yeah, out of 98 things, you may have missed 2 questions out of 98 things, but you did what you could. And we want you to know that you are our Superman and that you were the best dad that we could have had. And I feel like that probably made Daddy Scott happy. Sometimes our parents need that reassurance and that acknowledgement to let them know that we saw where you struggled at and we saw where you lacked it, but we appreciate where you soared at. Yeah, you had a couple of missteps as a parent, but we have missteps as children. We have missteps as adults. We have missteps as teenagers. There's a lot of us that make missteps. And I respect people more when they own up to their imperfections. I respect people more when they accept the fact that they wasn't perfect. I respect people more when they don't pretend like everything was a-okay and, everything was good when it really wasn't good like that. I acknowledge imperfection. I actually prefer imperfection. There may not be, people may look at me crazy when I say that, but I prefer imperfection over perfection any day. It's even like with a relationship. I've set my ass on these lives many, many times already, and I have said, I don't want a perfect relationship. Give me a relationship with some imperfections. Give me a relationship that contains lessons. When I say I don't want a perfect relationship, I'd rather have the imperfection in there, I'm not saying give me a toxic relationship, but I would rather be with somebody that stands true in what they are and who they are and what they present. That's why I like the one that I got because it's not perfect. I ain't perfect. People may not, and the person, and you ain't perfect, I ain't perfect, and that's fine. We could be two imperfect motherfuckers together. I'm not judging you, and you can't judge me. It is what it is. So I prefer imperfection. I like the fact that my mama wasn't perfect. There's different layers to us when we're imperfect. So I feel like it's better for us to just live in this imperfect world versus living in a perfect world, being forced and being pressured to do everything right when we know that we're not going to do everything right, if that makes sense. So, I hope I didn't get on here preaching and getting all off topic, because the people love to come for me when I get off topic, child. But yeah, so they talked to, I think this is Uncle Rick's like construction school or whatever. They give Marceau and Maurice, they decide that they're going to give back to their Uncle Rick's school. They're going to provide like material for them and things like that, which I think is good, because at the end of the day, Maurice and Marceau are in a better place. They've left Pontiac, they're in Huntsville, but they're able to do something and give back to that fucking community. I mean, they used to live there. If I was able to give back to my hometown, I definitely would. I don't think that many people do. When they get out, they don't look back, and they don't think about, they were once one of those kids that grew up in that particular environment, or they grew up, in that city or whatever. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what I feel. That's what I believe. That's how I am. You know what I mean? And then, Daddy Scott, he gave Uncle Rick his props. He said that, there are some things that we cannot instill in our children that somebody else can. So I appreciate you being there for my boys when I couldn't be. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge that somebody was there for your kids and they picked up your slack when you couldn't give it to them. And ain't nothing wrong with appreciating that. So now we're back to Martell and his tight shirts, honey. Now, Martell is a terrible person, but he's easy on the eyes. I don't care what none of y'all got to say about that. You know what I mean? I know that he's a terrible man and it's popular to hate him, and I don't like his ass, but he fine. I don't give a fuck. He is. He comes in to Will's barbershop to meet up with Will and Ken. And, Will explains the business. He says it's a different type of barbershop. And I was looking at that like, yeah, this ain't no barbershop. It's giving the naked barber that be cutting niggas' hair butt ass naked in Atlanta. That's what it's giving. That's the type of barbershop this is. But okay. So Martell asked Ken about Trish and what's going on with Trish. So Ken reveals that Letitia has been keeping a mess in regards to telling Trish that he was in another woman's DM. And so that's when Martell was like, Letitia Scott? She bringing up some DMs? What the fuck? Now, let me tell y'all know I don't be on Martell's side on nothing. You feel what I'm saying? But just like Martell said, you cannot sit up here and talk about other people's marriages and bring tea about other people's marriages when there's people out here that say they got tea on your husband. So you can't sit up there and talk about everybody else. And I agree with Martell. I do agree with him on that. Like I said, he ain't always right. Most of the time, he's not right at all. But I'm not going to take this from him. He ain't telling no lies. Tisha is the last motherfucker to be speaking on somebody else's relationship. Because like I said, if somebody came, because that was her whole deal with the situation to begin with. Her whole deal was the fact that people were out here talking about her husband and giving out information about her husband, and she didn't like that shit. So my thing about it is, if you don't like what people are saying about your fucking husband, then why do you feel like you have the right to be speaking on somebody else's husband? Then you don't even like when somebody just tell you what they heard in the streets about your husband. And to be honest, I don't want nobody telling me no shit that they heard in the streets about my man either. Like, that's one thing that I don't care about. I don't care about what you heard. Give me receipts about what you heard. Like, gossip is something that I don't give a fuck about. There's rumors about everybody. I don't care about that. But what I'm saying is, you don't like when people say shit about your man. So why you going to some woman telling her about some shit that you heard about what her man doing? That's bullshit and BS to me. I could never agree with that bullshit like at all. I could never agree with it. It's fucked up. It ain't right. And that's just that on that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with Letitia? Like, that shit wasn't even cool. It wasn't cool in the least bit. Like, I just couldn't understand it, y'all. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't. And I was here for everything that Martell said about that situation. She cannot be sitting up here talking about nobody's shit. And I do mean nobody's. They discussed the DMs. And Ken was telling Martell, I mean, I was in somebody's DM now. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I wasn't. Like, I did my shit. I was in somebody's DMs. It's the truth. And Martell was looking like, he was kind of thrown off, not really thrown off, but was surprised that Ken actually admitted to actually being in another woman's DM. But like I said early on in the review, at least, he admitted to doing it. And then Ken was like, well, there was shit that was said about, Trisha. Like, I heard shit about Trisha. You feel what I'm saying? Like, people were saying that Trisha was out talking to another man out at the club and at the bar and stuff like that. I asked her, she say no. So people have said stuff about her, but I don't bring it to her. So Will was like, so did you and Trish talk through the DMs? He said, yes, it was mutual. And he was like, and Will was like, well, maybe Trish, when she hears about you being in the DMs, she feel like there's repeat motives. You're repeating motives and stuff like that, because that's the way you got at her, was through the DMs. And so after that is when Ken said, but I don't think I overstepped when I was in the DMs. Like, I didn't say anything sexual. I didn't say anything out of pocket. Like, I was in the DMs, and when I was in the DMs, me and Trish were not talking. I wasn't in the house. It wasn't no relationship shit going on. That's just what was going on at the time. So I'm like, okay, I'll take your word for it, honey. So we get back to Michigan. They're at this little bar in Pontiac, and Destiny says that she feels complete. She saw her grandmama. She saw most of her siblings, and even though she didn't really get what she wanted with her mom, she still feels complete at this moment. Like, that's a part of her life that's complete. And I can see what she means by that. No lies. I can see what she mean by that. Like, it's a thing. Like, when you find something that you never had and you were missing out on it for a long time, once you find it, there's a sense of completion in your brain. I remember when my mother found her dad when I was like 17. She felt completed, in a sense that she found another part of her family that she never knew. And even though now she don't talk to her dad, she still talks to her dad's brother. And I don't fuck with her dad either, but I got me some cousins now. I got me some new cousins, and I talk to them all the time. I check in with them now. So that's the thing about it. Sometimes you can find little things in your struggles that will make you feel better, make you feel a little bit of completion in your life. And I get that, you know what I mean? Like, there are some things that, like I said, it goes back to those imperfections. It may not be the perfect situation. It may not be the situation that you were looking for, but you got something out of the deal. You know what I mean? And I know Bando don't have nothing to do with this particular topic nor this video, but it kind of reminds me of him and how he wants to bridge the gap with the family that he never really knew because he was a foster kid. He wants to bridge that gap. And I feel like he would be so complete once he bridged that gap and get that family part of his life in his life. You feel what I'm saying? Because when people never had that, they want that, they crave that, they need that. And that's something that I want for him. You know what I mean? So I told him I would help you. I would be there for you with this whole thing as far as like getting back together with your family and try to figure things out with your family, getting the answers that you really need to get from your family. and things like that, because you don't know your family. And he's seen me with my family, and that put like that fire up on him to get the same thing for himself. So that is the journey that I'm going to go on with him, and we're going to see what's going to happen with that. So I want him to feel complete with that situation. So just me hearing Destiny talk about that made me think about him and the conversations that we have had about his desire to have that family structure, or finding, having this conversation with his mother that gave him away and things like that. So, I'm going to be there with him throughout all of that. I'm going to support him. I'm going to hold his hand through all of that. And I want him to feel completed. And I really want that for him. And I'm going to help him make that completed. If, get that completion, if you feel what I'm saying. So shout out to Bando. Destiny was very transparent about everything in regards to her family life, everything that she's experienced when she was in Michigan and stuff like that. And Maurice says that Destiny is a warrior, and he never realized that she went through all of that stuff. And so that is when Marceau said, when we said that you wasn't transparent, you really wasn't, because we didn't know none of this shit. And they all laughed and joked about everything. So Martell, let me see. Scotty, wait. Scotty, I located my dad 6 years ago after 50 years of no contact. He just passed last month. I absolutely loved the reconnection to him and the plethora of family members. Yeah, like when you don't really have something and you missing out on it, and that's been a part of your life that's always had a question mark around it. When you locate that situation, you feel a sense of hope when you find it. And like I said before, I remember when my mom found her dad. And like I said, my mom, before she found him again, she had not seen her dad since she was 23 when she had me. And she had only seen him 3 times out of her whole life. I think she was 12 the first time she met him. She saw him again at 16, and she didn't see him again until she was 23, and she had me as a kid. And she didn't meet her dad until another 17 years later is when she found her dad, because I was 17 when we found him. So she didn't see him again. She didn't know where he was, and I had never seen him before, never knew what he sounded like, never seen his face, didn't know where I came from. And when I met him, it was nice to see some aspects of my life that I didn't know nothing about. And so, although I don't have a relationship with him at all and don't desire to have one, because I don't really fuck with him like that, I have more so of relationships with his nephews and stuff, my cousins. Like, those are the people that I have relationships with, and I absolutely love those relationships. Like, those relationships are everything to me. So some of them I still haven't met yet, but I will. You feel what I'm saying? So it's always a good thing. And the thing is, that's what I'm saying about Bando. Like, when I saw my mom and how happy she was when she reconnected with her dad, although things didn't work out as years went by, I want that same genuine completion for him once I ain't gonna say once we figure that part out on how that's gonna work and how we're gonna make that work and make that happen. Because I really want that for him. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we talk about a lot of stuff, and that is one thing that he really wants. So, like I told y'all, I'm going on that journey with him, no doubt. So, we get into Martell and Maurice. They talk about the Michigan trip. They talked about how they were there for Destiny and how they got into, the things with their dad and uncle and stuff like that. So then that's when Martell reveals that Ken has moved out. Him and Trisha are having problems. And then Maurice said, well, Ken be posting. And Martell was like, posting what? He said he be thirst trapping all the time. He do. Martell says that Tisha said that Ken was DMing. And so that's when Maurice was like, no, Tisha, not like, why would you do that? You feel what I'm saying? Like, why would you be the one to be spilling tea with somebody and you the same one who don't want nobody spilling no tea to you? That's all I be saying. But whatever. He was saying that Kimmy is upset with Marcel because Marcel is behind on this project and Martell understands why she's upset. So we get into Ken and Marcel. He comes to Black. Ken discusses his issues with Trish, and Marcel says that sometimes we have to accept people for who they are. When we meet people, they're broken. And a lot of the times, that's just what it is. They're broken, and there's really nothing that we can do about it. So sometimes we really just need to accept that part about folks. Yeah, we want them to do right. We want them to be better. But some people are just what they are, broken. And there's really not much most of us can do about them being broken. I understood what he was saying. Trisha is broken, and it ain't really nothing that Ken can really do about him being broken. It's nothing that he can do. Trish is broken. And I've been telling y'all that for a minute now. Trish is not over the things that she went through with Marquez. She's not over the shit that Marquez actually did to her. And a lot of the stuff that goes on between her and Ken is a projection. She projects a lot of things that Marquez has done to her onto Ken. And that's not cool. While I don't think that Ken is just this polished penny that, you know what I'm saying? Not, I don't think that he's this polished penny that is so innocent and so right all the time, because he got his own imperfections about himself, in my opinion. He got his own damn imperfections. But at the same time, I don't think that he's wrong for the things that he's saying in regards to Trish, because I've been feeling like she's not necessarily honest about much in the first place. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't really think that she's really honest about her feelings anyway. So, that's really what I believe. But Ken not really being that honest either. They both lying to one another, if you ask me. So then Ken reveals that Tisha is being messy, telling Trish that about the DM situation. And you can already see that Marceau is irritated by Tisha. And to be honest, I would be irritated by Tisha too. And he said that he's going to have a conversation with Tisha because we are the wrong people that should be telling somebody about what their spouse is doing. I don't care. I like Marceau. I like Marceau. I know a lot of y'all don't, but I like Marceau. He going to keep it 100. That's all I got to say about that. He going to keep it real. He know that they ain't got no business talking about nobody else's marriage. He know that, there have been shit with them as well. He knows that. And he knows that Tisha should not be talking about no rumors of any sort. He knows that. So I want to see how this conversation is going to go next week with them. So with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this review though. Like I didn't really have much to work with, but I tried my best to give you guys a decent show and give you guys a good review today. I really hope so. What was I finna say? But yeah, the Scene ATL, we just did the reunion yesterday, and I think you guys may enjoy it. Like I said before, like I didn't scream and yell yesterday. I got my point across when I needed to get my point across. But there's some people that did a bunch of yelling and screaming and reading and all that other stuff. There's some people that did. It wasn't me. Because, baby, I ain't finna argue with you. I said what I said. I feel how I feel. And that's just how I feel. But yeah, it was some funny moments, but then there was some moments that was the claws were out. Oh my god. But they should be putting out like a preview or something for the reunion very soon. It was a virtual reunion. We decided to do it virtually. It was a last minute decision to do a virtual reunion for many different reasons that Carl will explain later. But just trust me, next season it won't be no virtual reunion. But it was a virtual reunion this time around. And baby, it was I can answer this. He did not. He did not. He wasn't invited, but he was. We did discuss him though, just a little bit. We did discuss him, but he wasn't invited. But I'll talk more about the reunion when it does come out. Depending on how they edit everything, we'll see how it turns out. But I feel like everybody got everything that they needed to get out, and we can move on to the next season. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. I hope you guys enjoy it. But like I said, it wasn't me doing all the screaming and clawing. It was, yeah. Anyway, with that being said, you guys, we're done here. So make sure you guys go pick up my book. That's Why You're Lonely. It's now available on Amazon and Kindle books. So make sure you guys go and pick it up. Because baby, we're working on we're working on part 2. My publisher is reading it right now before she do any edits. So yes, honey. Yes, the reunion is coming on Stylish TV, and Only One Miss Ann. I don't know when it's coming out. It should be within the next week or 2 when it comes out. Okay, it should be within the next week or 2, honey. All right. With that being said, you guys, this be your boy Scotty by Nature TV. Be sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe, share this video, and also click on the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a video drops. And if you want to follow me on any form of social media, my Twitter, my Instagram, and my TikTok will be down below. With that being said, you guys, your boys up out of here, and I will see you guys on the next one.
That 20, yeah, you always been a sneaky bitch, hating from the sidelines, trying to get big, yeah. You don't found one, yeah, you don't found one. You don't found one, found you a real one. On my assets lately, you catch a face, shots fired, catching babies. Heavy on the highs, better get you some gravy. Cut that lady check, why you out here being lazy? I got bored with that season, I'm talking shit when I'm spitting. Fact the bitch, I'm the reason, when it got you hoes heated. Snow got them hoes sneezing, got the meals you not eating. Where had them hoes leaking, God trust when I'm speaking. It's giving.
Big bands gon' make it hot. Real niggas gonna come up. Don't let the game gon' change us. Real niggas in my circle, ho. Don't ever play us. This the real hustle. We make the money, don't make it make us. They ain't bout shit. Talking out they neck. Bitch, we bring the heat every time we step. You fucking with a beast. Fucking with the best. Get money on the east. Plug on the west. Bitch, I'm from the north, but we run this out. Bitch, we outside. What you talking about? Who the fuck is me? No, who the fuck is you? Get these niggas.